Hi, I'm Will.
I'm Norm.
Norm, this is a brand new iPad.
Oh my
it's
God.
the new
It's
iPad.
out today. The new one. The new iPad.
I have spudgers and a heat gun and some guitar picks.
I know what that means.
And what a suction cup. I don't know what this thing even is.
Okay.
You know what that means?
It means you're about to take it apart.
I'm going to take it apart. So Norm, why do we take things apart?
Because we want to learn how they work, and also how the stuff on the inside looks, what components are inside, how it's all pieced together. There's a lot of design actually goes inside a consumer electronic device that you don't see.
I'm turning it off.
Okay, that's good.
First step.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter because the battery's still going to be fully charged.
Yeah. You know that's not your iPad.
No, this is not my iPad.
It's not my iPad either.
No.
Thank goodness, right?
Well, if this might be your iPad if this goes badly.
Oh, it's actually Adam Savage's iPad.
Yeah. Thanks, Adam, for letting us borrow your iPad.
Promise
sorry.
We'll treat it very gently.
Sorry for what's about to come next. Now, iFixit didn't take apart last night. They went to New Zealand. We're going to be following basically their instructions here today, using a lot of their tools. You can see we have a whole mess of tools out here. I have a set of metal spudgers. I have a pentalobe screwdriver, which is Apple's new proprietary security bit.
Pentalobe means there's 5 points to it.
5 points and they're round, not like a normal Phillips head or something like that. I don't think we're going to need this, but just in case.
Okay.
I have a bunch of different size plastic spreaders. I have some plastic nylon spudgers. And then I have a whole bunch of different size guitar picks. You can see these over here. What the iFixit guys recommended.
The music app.
Yeah, just
GarageBand.
GarageBand, exactly. It's not at all what that's for. Because this screen is the digitizer is glued to the case, what I'm gonna have to do is use the heat gun, that's this guy right here, around the edges to heat up the glue so it'll get loose. Use the suction cup to pull the glass up off, and then jam the guitar picks underneath.
Oh my goodness.
So that it holds the glue apart while it cools.
So first a disclaimer, really, this isn't something you want to do unless you're okay with not being able to put your iPad back together. This will absolutely void your warranty. Yeah,
super duper void.
Apple Care Plus might not even handle this.
Adam didn't ask about this when he said we could use his iPad.
Yeah, he's happy that we have one.
Yeah, I think he's happy for us. So here we go.
Don't follow along. Let's like a cooking show.
No, don't do that at all. And while I'm taking stuff apart, you're going to be telling us what the different pieces are inside. Like most tablets, if this is like most tablets, there'll be a ton of battery inside. But I think we should just get started. And see how this goes.
This is a standard heat gun you can buy.
I bought it at Home Depot.
Home Depot.
It's 50, 60 bucks. It's variable heat, which is important because we don't want to destroy the LCD if we don't have to. And I'm going to start on the lowest temperature and then see how this goes. First, I'm going to stick the suction cup. I didn't bring our good suction cup that we used for the iMac take apart. When we packed up the office, it's in storage now, so I have just a crap. Hopefully this works. Here we go. If I take the paint off your table, are you?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
So the heat gun's on right now, and like you mentioned before, the glass is actually separate from the LCD in the new iPad. What we're trying to do is remove the glass. It's kind of glued on around the edges. We have to melt all that glue, and then kind of pry it open and pull off that top.
Okay, so I've heated it up for a minute. I'm gonna try popping off the first corner.
Yeah, and let me grab a guitar pick, and I can actually help you.
I don't think we're quite there yet. Okay, more heat.
More heat. Melt that glue.
Destroy something beautiful.
Well, hopefully not completely destroyed.
It's Adam's, it'll be okay.
It's like a blow dryer, but actually pushes out much more heat.
Much more heat. We can go up to 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit here, according to the label. I don't know if that's actually true or not.
Is that gonna pop off on the side?
That would be nice, but it's not gonna happen. Okay, so
there you go.
There's
That's
the
one.
First guitar pick. That's good.
Huzzah!
Okay, we got the first pick in.
Yep.
I'm gonna work around the edges with my little plastic spreader here. The goal is to spread this apart, obviously, without.
Grab some guitar picks.
Yeah, Norm, you're the keeper of the guitar picks from here on forward.
There you go.
And what I'm doing is getting the guitar pick up under here and then sliding it along. And it seems like I'm releasing the glue a fair amount as I go, which is definitely a good thing.
And once we have guitar picks all the way around, then we use suction cup and pop it
and
out.
lift the whole thing up at once, hopefully. Ooh. Just to be clear, that pick right there, that's inside.
Hey, it's a game.
Retina. It's a Retina display. Okay, I think, oh wow.
Yeah, you just slide all the way across.
Oh yeah, okay, so.
There you have it.
So that's it. There's probably some cables here, because this is of course the Digitizer. This is this thing in the front. So this is what registers touch screen sensors. The button is part of this. I'm gonna lift.
And it looks like you've actually pried off part of the gasket.
I have pried off part of the gasket. It's got stuck on the glue in places around the edge.
Yeah.
So that's the first. Did you disconnect that cable? Oh no, that is the gasket.
This is the gasket.
Hold on. Yeah, break. There you go. Pop it off of the pad.
There it goes.
Of the screen.
And now, that's the cable.
There's our cable. Okay, so we want to leave this guy in place.
Yep.
I'm gonna flip this over. Let's start pulling out our guitar picks. We don't need them anymore. Mission accomplished. Try not to touch the LCD as much as possible. I have a wiping cloth here to get fingerprints off of it at the end when we're putting it back together, because really there's nothing more frustrating when you're doing something like this than getting a nice gnarly fingerprint either on the inside of the outside glass or the outside of the inside glass, and then you see it for the rest of your life. One of the first things I took apart was a Gameboy Advance, the very first one, which if you recall, didn't have a backlit screen.
So you are now pulling out the gasket.
I'm going to lift the gasket out, and we're going to put it off to the side, and we'll stick it. We'll try sticking it back on later. Why not? I'm not feeling real optimistic right now. So here we go.
See the glue, the adhesive.
Yep, that's the adhesive. I'd leave the glue on probably. Okay. Try to keep that on as much as you can.
It's actually not very thick at all.
No, it's just a little tiny bit of glue.
About half a centimeter.
We might even be able to reuse this glue when we're putting this thing back together.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty confident about that. So here's what we have. This is the bottom of the iPad. This is the top. The front-facing camera's here. This is where the button connects. The button has a really interesting mount for the sensor. Literally, it's just two connectors right here, and then they hit these two contacts right inside here, and that's how the button fires. Okay, so next thing to do, I've got a Phillips head screwdriver.
Okay.
This is an iFixit toolkit. It's really good. It has a bunch of different security bits for all sorts of different devices. It even has like the weird Nintendo ones. Yeah. I think the modern one that they have is the Pentalobe. This one I bought before the Pentalobe was available. So
doesn't look like there are any Pentalobe screws.
I don't think these are Pentalobe screws. No. So
these are normal Phillips.
It looks like I have Phillips on 4 corners, here, and here.
Yep.
And I'm gonna unscrew those and then try to lift the screen out.
All right.
I don't have my tape here today because Norm doesn't have any masking tape in his house, unfortunately. But what I do have is a bowl. So I'm gonna take that. I need a smaller bit. Would you give me a smaller Phillips head?
Yeah.
Put that one back.
Size smaller.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. So as we said in the quick look, this screen is almost certainly made by Samsung. And these screws, I don't know if you can, I'll show you one of these screws. They're tiny, very flat, only a few threads. It's like half a turn. I mean, if you look, it is a itsy bitsy little machine.
It's not something you want to strip. And there, that screw.
Well, that one's gone.
Is gone.
Don't tell Adam. Oh, there's 2 more.
2 small ones right there.
Oh man, this is
really small. You might even need
this is gonna be a nightmare to put back together. You're doing the putting back together part, right?
Right. So normally, if you wanted to assemble a piece of hardware, you would have pieces of tape out, and as you take the screws out, you can put them on the tape, and you can have parallel strips of tape for different screw sizes.
Right.
And
so what I'm doing is
track of which screws go where. I'm
just putting them in different places. So I'm going to get my lifter here, my plastic lifter. I'm going to get up under this guy.
Okay.
Oh, it's just going to lift right out.
Pops right out, but be careful of the cable, the ribbon cable.
Let's see, this is the bottom side, so it's going to be on the left edge.
Yep, looking at the iPad.
And what I'm going to do, hold on, this is really straightforward. So what I'm going to do is actually disconnect it over here.
Yeah.
So there's a piece of tape holding this down, and I'm going to get a thin, pointy edge spudger, get right up under here.
Lift the tape.
Lift the tape out. If we haven't voided our warranty yet, removing tape, here you go, Chan, never say I never gave you anything. Removing tape is when things get real bad. And I think that this kind of connector is just going to slide right out. Yeah, see? So it's just a flat ribbon cable, and it slides into a little socket here. It is an incredibly small, incredibly delicate socket. You don't want to give it any kind of like 90-degree force. You want to pull it out perpendicular to the motherboard in the screen. And now the screen's not loose, so that's good. Keep your fingers off that screen, Chan.
This is the new Retina display.
Yeah.
Just looks like a standard LCD without the glass. And on the back,
did you see the labels and stuff? I'm just going to peel off tape and take off some more of these connectors so I can disconnect the digitizer and some of the other stuff.
There's a ribbon cable on top here, and on the bottom you have some serial numbers and also QR codes. Googling this actually won't yield too many results, aside from other people who've taken apart their iPads.
How many people do you think have done that so far?
Maybe half a dozen. And I think this actually is a Samsung display. So previously, LG, Sharp, and Samsung made iPad displays, but Samsung was the only one who had an IPS display ready with this resolution.
Okay, so I have...
Side right here.
I can't tell how the Digitizer is connected. I'm going to use my incredible super glue in here. Looks like I just need to slide it out. It looks like it's the same kind of connector. These are different connectors than they used in the past. They're a little lower profile, which is interesting because inside the iPad you actually have a fair amount of free space compared to, say, an iPhone or even, you know, any kind of cell phone. I can't tell if this is... Oh wait, no, just popped off. So it just slides out. The ribbon just pops right out of the connectors, just like on the other side. And now the Digitizer is loose too. It has a bunch of fingerprints on it now. It feels very light.
Yeah, it's just the glass. Really thin piece of glass. When you see shattered iPads, this is what shatters, not the LCD below it.
Typically. So this is the inside of the iPad. Down here you see batteries, 42 watt-hour battery. It's a little under twice the size of the iPad 2, but about the same battery life because of the higher resolution screen and 4G if you have that as an option. This is the motherboard up here. So this is, under this are going to be the A5 chip and then all the other kind of secondary chips that make the whole thing work.
All the communication chips, all the radios, all in this one motherboard.
So what
basically that's what the iPad, that's the guts of
this is the iPad. Like I said, tablets typically are mostly battery inside and a little tiny bit of electronics because they're essentially cell phone electronics inside. So what we're gonna do is take the motherboard out. First I'm gonna disconnect these wires down to this end and we'll see what happens next.
All right.
Now I'm being incredibly careful around these lithium ion batteries because they are very energy dense. And lithium burns.
Yes. Don't want to puncture those batteries.
No. You want to have fire extinguishers around. Norm, how many fire extinguishers do you have in your house? You know, for safety. You don't have any fire extinguishers? One?
I'm still thinking about it.
Oh, this isn't good. Do you know how to put out an electrical fire?
Also, when you disassemble electronics, you should probably drain the battery first.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
We just picked this up this morning, so we didn't have 10 hours to burn. We're living on the edge. I'm gonna pop this guy off. So this kind of connector right here is a kind of zero force vertical thing. It's just gonna align exactly right and you snap it in and out of place. It's very easy to turn on and off.
Socket connector.
It's not a slide, it's nothing, it's not really, it just snaps on. It's really straightforward. Okay. Next up is this guy down here. This is gonna be an antenna. There's probably several antenna connectors on this. I'm gonna get up underneath this with a pointy smudger. I have a different one for this kind of thing. And I just get right up underneath the inside edge of this and it just pops loose as well.
And what's surprising me already is that there's actually a little bit of space inside the iPad. Not vertical space, because that was all taken by the LCD and the screen. But around the edges, there's
dead area.
Yeah.
They've had that since the very first one.
And what that's actually, I think that's intentional because they want to maintain balance. So when you're holding it, you know, the battery has to be here, so that's where most of the weight is, and so it feels like it's even on all sides.
That's a good observation, though.
This is all, of course, proprietary hardware. Even the connectors on the screen, even though Samsung makes the screen, it's not like you could take an iPad 2 screen, LCD, pop in here, and connect it and it'll work just fine, or the other way around.
No, it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. All the hardware in here is made specifically for the iPad.
And so there's two reasons that that's one of the reasons that this is not a particularly user serviceable device. Sourcing the hardware to replace in something like this is going to be very challenging.
It's just like building a PC.
Except for backwards.
Right. Motherboard, you have motherboard stands, except there's no giant battery.
Okay, so then this is where, I think this is power, probably. I'm going to disconnect this last ribbon cable, and I'm going to do it just by pulling, which seems like a really terrible idea, but why not? We've come, oh wait, here we go. Yeah, it's just right here on the edge. I'm going to grab the edge of the cable and kind of gently rocker it out. It seems like it might be stuck with a little bit of glue here. This is the part where if I'm going to get shocked, I'm going to get shocked.
There you go.
There we go. Okay, so what's left in here? I'm going to set the motherboard down. Yep. What's left in here is just battery all the way down, and the batteries are glued to the bottom. Because of Norm's lack of a fire extinguisher and because I don't want to burn your house down, I'm not going to try to pry these off this time. Also, I want Adam's iPad to continue to work so he's not pissed off at me on day one of his new site. 3 batteries,
there's a dock connector on the bottom, the camera's on top. You can actually see the camera unit right here.
Yeah, right. Well, this is the front facing. The rear facing is over here. We will pop that out. And let's go ahead and take this ribbon connector off the edge. And then I'll take the speaker assembly out, and then we'll look at the motherboard because that's kind of interesting stuff. So I've unscrewed the camera assembly. I've unscrewed the front camera assembly too, I think. It doesn't seem to be screwed in. It might just be slid into a kind of slot here. Oh, I've got one more screw up here on the ribbon cable. We're gonna take this whole big giant ribbon cable out. And one thing you'll note is that the battery connectors are actually right here, and they're gonna hit into the back of the motherboard, I would think.
That's a really small logic board. On the logic board, it doesn't look like almost it's like the size of a stick of RAM.
It looks like a big piece of gum, yeah.
And you have these metal covers, aluminum covered, I assume they're aluminum. Not only do they protect the individual chip, but they also act as heat sinks. And I don't know which side the A5X is on. I want to say it's right here. We'll pry those.
The A5X is on the back. It's going to be on the same side as the power connector. And the reason, those things are EM shields. So chips, semiconductor chips generate a lot of electromagnetic interference, and they have to either accept that from the environment as well, or not impact other devices.
That's why it needs to be approved by the FCC.
So that's why it's approved by the FCC. This isn't going to come out. Well, wait, here it goes. Oh, sorry, Adam. This is going to be fine.
Yeah.
Is there another screw up there? There's another screw. No wonder it wouldn't come out. These little black on black screws are incredibly difficult to see. Having a flashlight or a headlamp or something like that is not at all a bad idea. When
I have a headlamp.
You do have a headlamp. So I'm going to pull the headphone jack out now. It looks like all of these top and left edge connectors, the volume up, volume down, the camera sensors, the headphone jack, all of that stuff are attached to this one ribbon cable here that goes around the outside edge of the iPad. And there's the headphone jack. So now I'm going to keep following this guy around. It's a little bit stiff. I can't tell. Oh, I think I just broke something. Oh, it'll be fine.
Nothing snapped.
You don't need to use a camera. Here's the problem. There's tape here. Okay, so I'm peeling up the tape. I think I probably just broke a board if I had to guess, but almost certainly. Oh, that's bad news. How are you doing?
You're remarkably calm for someone who is potentially destroying a $500 device.
Well, I mean, I know that if this doesn't go well, we'll just replace Adam's iPad with your iPad, so.
We will?
Yeah, new policy. You're okay with that, right? You don't want to disappoint Adam.
You've done enough of that already.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Norm. One more screw over here in the far corner. At some point in the future, I'm going to look back on this and realize that the mistake was when I decided to take this top cable with the cameras and stuff attached to it off. Up until that point, I think we were doing pretty good. Yeah. You know, it's funny, when I did the first iPad, I don't think you were there for that, were you?
There it goes. That's the ribbon.
Is it? Oh wait, it's not. It's not. It's 2 pieces. We might be okay. It's still connected. So you can see I bent it right on this screw. It doesn't look like it's completely broken. We may still have connection, so it could still work. Who knows? I'm not going to touch that. But the back-facing camera's here. Let's show you this. This is the back-facing camera.
So you want to be real careful. Camera.
Not to get the lens, touch the lens or anything like that. And then the front-facing camera attaches right here on the top, and it just used a connector. I'm not going to pull it out because it seems like it's just glued in. I don't think there's any reason to pop that out and show you guys, because it is the same crappy camera as before.
Yep.
And then along the bottom here, we have speakers. This is a speaker down here.
It's a mono speaker, so only one speaker.
Exactly, and you can see this, it has the same kind of great laser cut into the aluminum as the iPad 2. And then the dock connector is down here on the bottom as well, where the button connects.
And then you also have the volume buttons on the side.
Volume up and down.
That's where this ribbon cable connects.
Right there in here. There's actually a little cover that goes on top of them that's plastic. I don't know what that's there for, but it did seem important, and it's held in with screws. So we'll keep that off to the side. I'm going to pop off the EM covers now.
We're done with this.
We're done with that for the time being.
In that case, this is where most of the weight is, in the battery and the aluminum housing.
Definitely. Now, we were talking about the EM shields a little while ago. That's what all these metal things are. And what they do is they block radio waves, basically, from coming out and interfering with things like cordless telephones and that kind of device, Wi-Fi, all those things. What I'm going to do now is inadvisable, but I'm going to pry them off. Yeah, and most of them you just kind of start on one edge, find a weak spot, and then lift and bend and pull as you pull it around. And you know, technically the devices will work without these things on. I don't know the physics of the what they do to you if you do that. I don't think that there's any kind of ill effects. I think it's just inadvisable. And the trick with these is not to bend too much. You just kind of want to get up in between the edge of the metal. They're just held on with friction. There's no glue or anything like that. You just pop them off a little tiny bit at a time and work around the edge. And then it just lifts off.
And there you have a chip.
So this is, I think we're looking at the back side. I'm not sure here. This is the front side. Maybe you can take a look and check the iFixit guide. They had a good list of all the chips here. And those guys they sell parts and repair tools and all that kind of stuff, and have good guides for like repairing iPhone screens if you drop them and crack them and stuff like that. I think that they advise you really explicitly not to try fixing an iPad. Yeah, because of the reasons we mentioned before.
Not user serviceable at all.
And I'm just going around the edges here, lifting these guys off.
So that's a Toshiba, I believe.
It says Hynix.
Hynix. Oh, interesting.
It may be that there's different memory vendors. They could have had one that has Toshiba memory and we could have something else.
Yeah.
I don't know what Hynix makes. There's a lot of semiconductor manufacturers.
Let's see where that is.
It's on the downside. Sorry, it's on the top. It's on the top edge. Okay, so I'm just popping off the EM covers. It's all about going slow and taking it easy so you don't bend any of these little prongs. They're just held on by friction.
Yeah. It's going to look different, a little bit different on the inside of the 4G model. We just have the Wi-Fi model. There is an additional board on the right over there that we don't have that has the Qualcomm 4G chip.
So this is a thermal grease type thing. So there's the A5.
There we go.
What's on the other side, Norm? I'm not going to take those off.
You're not going to take those off?
I can. I think it's just memory, flash memory, and RAM, right?
Yeah. I say pop it all off.
Pop it off fast, huh? Tell us a little about the A5, Norm.
So the A5, it's a dual-core CPU and a quad-core GPU, 4 times the graphics. There's actually more memory in this. So that first chip we looked at, for iFixit's version, it was a Toshiba chip, and I think we had the Hynix chip. It's 1 gig of RAM. I think it's shared between CPU and GPU. And it needed a gig of RAM. The iPad 2 had 512 megs of RAM because it didn't need enough, that much memory to push the big display. And there's a gig of RAM here, so it can push all pixels, all 3 million pixels.
It's a lot of pixels, Norm. That's as many pixels as most people have in their desktop monitor, plus some.
So some people have already run benchmarks on the new iPad, and for many of the benchmarks, it performs almost exactly the same as the iPad 2, because it's that same dual-core CPU.
So for example, like SunSpider, which is a web browsing benchmark, a JavaScript benchmark specifically, was marginally faster on the iPad 3, probably due to more memory than anything else. Or sorry, the new iPad.
Yeah.
Boy, I'm gonna gouge that up good. The other stuff is more or less the same. Game performance should be a little bit different, although there's a much higher resolution to deal with, so that changes that quite a bit.
But basically, if you've ever opened up like a PC, you know, there's a CPU, there's a GPU video card, there's memory, RAM stick,
hard drives, power supply. There's really no analog for all of those here. I mean, the power supply would be the batteries. The CPU, the GPU is just on that A5X chip. And the RAM and system storage, it's all on, well I'm getting ready to show you.
Yeah, you're gonna show the RAM, or the system storage.
Oh, sorry, Adam. Ooh. Okay, so this is gonna be the system, this is the flash memory here.
Yep.
And then this guy over here is the RAM, right?
60, yeah, that's the gig of RAM, and or the other way around. And the other side.
Oh, this is the flash storage. Yeah. Okay, and then there's a bunch of other chips on here that control things like sound, networking, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff. But that's how to take apart Adam Savage's iPad. Whew. You're gonna put this back together, right?
I'll take care of putting it back together.
Okay, no, you're not.
You take care of apologizing.
I'm gonna go ahead and put it back together. We'll let you know how it turned out later. Until then, I'm Will.
I'm Norm.
See you guys.
Bye.